right, okay, I think let's get started. And once the rest of the people who have registered joins, I think we should be good. Yeah. So, okay, so all right, David, then I'm not here. So, yep, and thank you very much for joining this session. So, my name is Anton, uh, and I've been working as a consultant for home care licensing for quite a few years. I think nearly 6 years of time we have been helping in terms of licensing home care clients across all 50 states of United States. So, not only just for home care agencies, but also for skilled home health agencies, group homes, residential treatment centers, and mental health related services. We have been helping to get the entire licensing process, administrative support, and all of the documentation set up, including the application. All right. So I'll share my screen to get started. You both can hear me, right? David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Amna, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Sounds great. So, all right. Let me share my screen real quick. Then let's get started. All right. Okay. You both can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this session today, I'll be trying to take you through more of the entire end-to-end licensing process for private home care providers. In the state of Georgia, this is referred as the PHCP, and this is governed under the DCH, Department of Community Health, as well as the HFRD. They're the ones who are going to provide you with the licensing and administrative regulations, legislations, and everything we have to follow in terms of getting the license at the end of the day. So I'm trying my best to give you all of the knowledge in terms of step-by-step guidance and knowledge on how you can apply for the license and what documentation you need to process and how you can fill the application. So all of these details I'm trying to give you during this session. So yeah. All right. Okay. So righty. So again, a brief introduction to me. My name is Anton, and I'm a ACHC and CHAP accredited consultant. And we have been helping for more than 500 providers all across US. Of course, including Georgia, we get most number of providers to get the license, not only for private home care provider agency type, but also for personal care homes, home health agencies, and all kinds of provider types. We are helping you with all the regulatory and administrative support in terms of licensing. So to get started, we have today, let me open this. Right. Okay, so today's plan for the day, we are trying to basically cover up everything, including what's private home care provider agency. Let's say if you're a provider planning to establish a new license or a new home care agency in the state of Georgia, then these are the few things that you need to know and how you can understand what services that you can provide or what services are allowed to provide and what qualifications and the backgrounds that you should be having to get the license and at what point you will be licensing. And so everything until you get the license permit, we'll be showing you through all of the steps today during this session. Right. So yeah, as you can see, the table of content, I'll move forward with about the company. So we represent carepolicy.us and also parent companies homecareconsulting.us. We are specialized in providing home care services, not only the licensing, but also marketing, IT support services for this particular niche to help the new providers to establish their businesses. And when we talk about care policy, we are accredited by CHC and CHAPS, and we have been helping so many providers all across US in terms of the policy procedure writing. That's our main specialization, and the licensing consultation. So we have helped many new providers who are trying to establish for the initial license. We have been helping them to get the initial license with our consultation support. So yeah. All right. So the objective of this webinar to let you learn the right licensing to build the trust. You should know the applicable laws and regulations. So I can also refer this as the administrative codes are very much specific to your state. Let's say if you're trying to license a home care agency in the state of Georgia, the same process can be different to 100% different to another state, for example, in California or in Virginia, because every state has its own regulations to comply. And also every provider type has its own process. We can't apply the same steps that we have been using for private home care agency for another program type or agency type, for example, home health agency. Because home health provides a different purpose, for example, skilled or medical related services. But when we talk about home care or non-medical home care agency, that's 100% different. So state-wise, the regulations are changing, as well as the provider type and the agency type, the regulations are changing. So that's something we need to understand today when we try to proceed with this session. So the second step that we are trying to give you full licensing process, how you can license, where you have to register, where you have to get the background check, and what are the requirements, what's your eligibility requirements, everything we'll be discussing today during this session. And also we'll be trying to take you through what you should avoid when you try to apply for licensing. Because trust me, if you try to submit an application with any missing pieces, then there's a big problem that can delay our application for many months or maybe years. So we have to be very much 100% to compliance by the DCH and HFRD to make sure that we are top of the game when we try to submit the license package. So when I say the word package, that means it's not just one application, it comes with a package. Your supporting documentation, policies and procedures, insurance, background check, and surety bonds, and also any kind of client agreements, job descriptions, RN licenses. So those kinds of requirements have to be compiled all together as one package, and then it has to be submitted to the state. So the good news about the state of Georgia, everything is online. There is no manual processes, unlike the other states. There is an online platform that we have to go towards their online platform, create your account, and then proceed with the application package. There will be step-by-step guidelines in terms of uploading the required documents, legal documents, as well as supporting documents. So we have to make sure that we stick to all the required documentations expected by the state, right? So these are the basic things that you need to have right at the beginning of this journey. And policies and procedures are a very crucial step in getting your license. So, but just to let you know, policies and procedures are one key component of the entire package, which means it's just one document out of all the other documentation that's required to obtain your license. But it's a very much important document, policies and procedures, that should be prepared exactly to meet the state regulations as well as the administrative codes from the state. And also we'll be trying to take you through the real life examples, the Q&A. So we will be giving you opportunity to ask any questions that you have in terms of this licensing journey. And we are trying to make it more engaging session, and we very much appreciating your questions and anything that comes your way. We are available to support you today during this session. Alrighty, okay, so let's see, we have, all right. So let's talk about private home care provider. So when we talk about private home care provider, this is more of a personal support service agency or a home care agency. But just to let you know, every state has its way to refer to this. So for example, in California, this is the same thing is referred as the home care organization. And in Georgia, it's private home care provider. And in the state of Virginia, it's home care agency. And when you talk about the state of Texas, it's PAS, personal assistance services. So you have to be very careful the terminology and the program to select when we talk about non-medical home care agency. The state of Georgia, it's referred as the private home care provider, right? So when we talk about the services that is allowed for you to provide under this license, it's more of personal support services, bathing, dressing, meal preparation, light housekeeping, companionship, and transportation. And this is more of non-medical support services. So this is, I can tell, more towards the personal support services and like the assisted living services. So everything will be provided under this license. And one more important thing for you to understand, the difference between private home care agency and a personal care home. So you might be wondering, how do I provide or offer these services? So the main thing, you are not required to have a home under your name or rented place or a facility to provide private home care services. You can send the caregivers out to their own residence or own homes of your residents or your clients and provide the caregiving inside their own homes. And you are not responsible to keep them under your roof or your facility and provide the caregiving, right? That's something that you need to understand in terms of private home care agency. So it's non-medical services, and you'll be sending caregivers out to the residents of your clients, their own homes. You will be providing the services. Okay. So this is called private home care agency, and this is the license that you will be getting in the state of Georgia. All right. Okay, so when we talk about a little bit facts and figures, I can tell you, I think David, Laura, Amna, so the state of Georgia, there's high volume of providers trying to license. Let me tell you the reason. Because of the aging population, there's so many needs. So there's a big gap of need for seniors. There's a lot of opportunities for new home care providers to do the caregiving, because there's still a shortage of the caregivers and the home care agencies, because every day there are a lot of people aging, and over 65 years of age, around 15% of aging population in the state of Georgia. And also from my personal opinion and personal experience, we have been providing a lot of services with Georgia providers. And everywhere we see a lot of opportunities, and in terms of the billing, in terms of the clients that you get, and in terms of the licensing processes. So Georgia is, I would recommend, like, one of the few states that is more streamlined, and you can definitely get a license once you make all the compliances ready. And once you get the license, the benefits in terms of the revenue, in terms of growing the business, like Medicaid, and then going to home health and Medicare. So all of the opportunities are very much the state of Georgia, and especially the private home care agency, the provider type, right? So as you can see, it's around 15% of population are over 65, and there's a big shortage for this community. And not only from the revenue or the business perspective, but also in terms of the community support, you will be doing a great job once you get the license and provide the caregiving for this big shortage within the services, right? So let's move forward with the, let's see, right. So there are three things you need to consider before licensing. You should be registering with the Secretary of State. So I would like to ask a quick question from, let's say, Laura or David. Any of you have registered your LLC, or is this like you're starting from scratch?
I am starting from scratch.
I'm starting from scratch in the state of Georgia.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So that sounds great. So the first things that you will be having to consider, few small steps, you should definitely register your limited liability company. And the other option that you have is the incorporation. Let's say if you're trying to list the business or there are multiple owners, then an INC or incorporation is recommended. But if you are a sole or single member or 2 to 3 maximum partners, then limited liability company registration is ideal. So how you can do that is you have to register with the Secretary of State of Georgia, and at the same time, you will be getting your both LLC, limited liability company registration for your business name, and you also will be applying for the EIN, that is the employer identification number. That is for tax purposes, and it will be issued to you by the Department of IRS. Right, so that is the first steps in your journey, and you can register so many agents out there. If you look into the agents in Georgia, there are so many providers, third-party providers you can find easily. And in terms of the timeline for you to get the LLC and the EIN ready, it should be within just 1 week's time. You should be able to get both the documents registered for you. Right. And also, one more important thing, determine the type of services, nursing, personal care, companion sitting, and what kind of services that you are going to provide. So as I explained previously, for a private home care agency, you are eligible to provide all of non-medical home care services, right? But you are not able to provide more of medical low skilled services under private home care agency, because that will be a different license. But when we talk about private home care agency, you can provide all of the non-medical services, and that's a perfect start for you to kickstart your home care business journey, right? And one more important thing, you should have a qualified person including RN and administrator. So when we talk about the RN, so could you let me know, Laura, David, Amna, are any of you are RNs? Or how does that work for you?
No, I'm not an RN.
Okay. How about David?
I'm not an RN either.
Okay. And how about Amna? I think Amna. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you are RN or not. The options you have is that, let's say you represent as the administrator and you are the sole owners of this business. You represent the administrator and you don't need any qualification. But RN is mandatory for this private home care license. What you can do is you can contact your friend who is RN with the RN license, or you can hire a person to for the application purpose to get their RN information, and so that can be submitted to the state. So you represent the administrator, and you would be finding an RN to add on to the application process. And once you get the license, of course, you can have an RN. And this is mainly for overlooking and supervisories why they ask for an RN, not to provide the RN related services, but for supervisory purposes and legal requirements, we need to include RN details within the application process. So if you are not an RN, you can represent the administrator role, and you can have RN a friend or someone you know add their details into this. All right. Okay. All righty. So let's try to move forward. Common elements across licensing process. So there are a few things you need to consider. This might look actually a complex, but trust me, these are pretty straightforward processes, and you need to understand what documentations and the steps that you'll be having to take right at the beginning. So if you know what you do, what you're going to do, so that everything is streamlined. You should never get stuck halfway across. Once you start the journey, you should never do that. You should be pretty clear right at the beginning so that you are safe and you're saving your money, you're saving your time, and you're avoiding all possible delays in terms of the application rejections and denials, right? So application submission has to happen through the Georgia Department of Community Health, and the background check has to go through for every person that you added. Okay, I'll try to clarify this for you. A quick question again for both of you. How many owners are there in your business? Do you have partners joining as owners, or is it a single member business?
A single member business.
2.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So if it's a single member business, then only you will be required to go through the background check. But as I mentioned, an RN is required to be shown in the application process. So the same person will also have to undergo the background check under the state of Georgia. So it's a matter of scheduling an appointment with them and going for a fingerprinting and background check. And it's a pretty straightforward process. As long as your backgrounds are clear, so you have nothing to worry in terms of the background check. But
So this has to be a fingerprinting background check.
exactly, that's correct. Yes. Yeah. And if you have more partners or more owners joining your business and you have listed, let's say 2 to 3 owners in your LLC, then everybody should undergo background checks. Let's say if you mention someone's name in the application process to show the delegation of controlling interest and the ownership, then everybody should undergo the background check. That's the norm, and that's the standard rule. All right. So, okay. And also the compliance with the state regulation, adhere to the application rules and standards, and also the on-site inspection. So these are basics. I'll try to show you now, but going forward, I'll try to talk about the inspection processes, regulations, and everything. Okay. So one more important thing right at the beginning you should know is that you should have an office to run the business. But the good news is that you can operate your business from your home office. So any of you, do you have a dedicated physical office separately? Still, you can open your home care agency with your home office. Let's say you have your home address. You can initially use a home office address to kickstart this journey. Why I tell you this, most of the providers do have this question. Let's say if you are required to have a separate physical office, what happens is that actually this is more of a regulations, but with our practical experience, we know you can open with the home office address. You don't need a physical office because to get the licensing, there will be a few months wait time from the state. But let's say at the point of application submission, if you are to rent out a place, you will be incurring a huge cost, keep paying rentals, but you can't start operation and still keep paying rentals until you get approved. It doesn't look right, so we have reached out to the officers, and that's how we get everyone licensed under care policy with your home office, so that you don't need to pay big rentals to operate physical places, even without you starting your operations, right? That's one of the key factor to discuss. And number 2 is the policies and procedures that must reflect the Georgia's regulation. So I'll try to show you the policies and procedures that we are talking about. So these are the rules and regulations of the state of Georgia. As you see, these are the subsections, and we refer these as the chapter codes and the administrative codes provided for your agency type. So this is private home care providers. These are the regulations that is applicable for you. And this is again referred as the administrative codes. All of these information should be referenced, should be written, should be taken care very carefully when you write your policies and procedures, right? So that's mandatory. There's no chance, no excuses if you miss the policy procedures and their subsections or reference indexing based on their chapter codes, and there's a high opportunity, or I mean high possibility to get the policies and procedures be rejected, and then they will be asking you to do the deficiencies and correction. But still, if you are unable to complete it correctly, then they will be taking the applications that you submitted away from their system, and the application will be rejected. So you will be losing the application fee that you paid, all your time and effort. So make sure your policies and procedures represents all of the administrative codes mentioned under the chapter codes provided. So it's subsection subject 111.865 is what's applicable for you. Right. Let's try to move forward. And also a few other important steps that you need to know is that qualified leadership and staff with up-to-date credentials, that means RN license. And also for inspection survey, there will be an inspection survey, but the good news in the state of Georgia, unlike the other states, they will be issuing you the first provisional license, as they refer the term permit, for you to run your first year of operations. Later on, once you start the operations, after you submit the license, you get approved and you are allowed to run the operations for the first year. And under that first year, once you start serving the first 2 clients, that is when they come for inspection. So you have to go for a request of inspection, and that's the time that you should be you should be actually moving to a dedicated place, but not at the point of application. So this is a technique nobody knows, because most of the providers, they have seen, without knowing that from right at the beginning, they rent out a place. That's going to be a massive cost for you and a nightmare. Keep paying rental. Imagine keep paying rental for 6 to 1 years time, and still your application is not approved, and I mean, it's a nightmare, right? So that's the main reason you can start with your home office, and you will be getting the permit. Once they come to the inspection, that's the point you should think of going to a physical dedicated place. But still, if you have a dedicated place at your home office, that is still fine. So that's still fine. You don't still need to rent out. Try to minimize the cost. Try to save. I mean, there shouldn't be any unnecessary cost that's coming your way. So that's the whole objective of this session, to make everything pretty clear in terms of the practical experience that we have. Okay, so I think this is about what are the common challenges faced during licensing. So when we talk about the common challenges, outdated policy procedures, if you don't stick to the administrative codes, then there's a high chance that you will be failing the inspection, and before the inspection, you will be failing the initial license approvals. The background checks has to be clear. There shouldn't be any missing information that should be provided to the state. There's a high chance they have all the information about you. They will be doing a very, very thorough checks before they grant you a license. So it has to be very transparent, and it has to be very clear when you try to proceed with the licensing. No documentations of administrator qualifications, so you should be having the RN license and your basic qualifications that needs to be submitted right at the beginning. An incorrect legal business name on documents, that's going to be a big problem. So let's say you register your business. Okay, I'll tell you one tip right at the beginning. When you try to license, before the license, I said that you need to get your LLC registered, because you are a single member, or incorporation, it works either way. Once you register with the Secretary of State, you get your name, business name, ABC Home Care LLC, and your address and everything. So make sure you have to be consistent with that address that you enter in your LLC. It should be everywhere throughout the same. It should be the same in your EIN document. It should be the same in your NPI document. It should be the same in your insurance document. It should be the same in your background checks. Every other document, including mainly the application, everything should be consistent. You can't use one address at one point and another address in another place. No, they're cross-checking everything for you. And trust me, there's no chance that they're missing any pieces. So we have to be top of the game to make sure everything is streamlined and 100% in compliance. Okay. So going to the licensing steps. So far, do you have any questions? Anyone?
No.
Okay.
No, all good.
All right. Okay. So let's go to the licensing processes for you. Okay. So the state of Georgia, they have a private home care provider licensing checklist that has been published on their website. So this is a pre-application consideration. I'll try to get to you for this link now, just to show you what they are providing for you. So this is, let me know when you can see this. All right, so this is the private home care provider checklist that will be provided to you by the state. And you should make sure that everything inside this checklist are completed before you can submit to the state. Now everything is given here, including where you have to access the license, where you have to create your account, and make sure this is your initial license. When the state provides you with a lot of information, they always tell how to renew, how to do a change of ownership. That's not applicable for you right at this stage. We are talking today about initial application. So just stick to the information provided for initial application providers. So these are the basics. We will also be taking you through this information. You should be providing notarized affidavits of personal identifications, photo IDs, and affidavits of compliance. That is a mandatory requirement. So these are few templates that the state has already published for you. You have to insert your information and confirm your identification to and the connection to United States, and also the affidavits of compliance. So these has to be signed by a lawyer or notary signed, and you as the principal. So it has to be signed and submitted to the state. So we will, so these are mandatory information within the application package. Okay, one more important thing for Georgia client, and this is Georgia special. In the state of Georgia, you are required to get a business license. Now, most of the question, the providers, they ask me, I have my LLC with the Secretary of State. Why that is not considered a business license? So I'll tell you the fourth point. Business license is a different license that you should be obtained that from your county office. Let's say the place where you're going to license, or where you are located, or where your home care agency is going to be, that particular county office, you should be getting the business license. So this means the county is giving you the authority to run a business inside the county. So that's the main reason why you need to have a business license within the county level, and that should be provided to the state level to get you the application approved. And this is, we don't see in most of the state, but in Georgia we do see this. But this is pretty straightforward process. You just have to give a call to the county office or just have a visit to them and request for a business license. But at this stage, you should have your LLC ready. You should have your EIN ready and take the documents to the county office and request for the business license. And also there will be, of course, this is what I was talking initially, Georgia Secretary of State Registrations LLC. If you're single member owners, then you can simply register 100% ownership under your name and register the LLC for yourself. And right, 12 months application submission day. So yeah, there are a few informations and guidelines provided by the checklist. I'll try to move to the presentations and make it more convenient for you to understand instead of reading through these regulations. Right. So let's go back to, this is the checklist that we went through. And this is the portal. So the HFRD, they actually had a change of processes just a few months ago. Up until for many years, they have been running everything on a platform called GAMIS, GAMMIS. But now they have moved their entire portal for HFRD, and the GAMIS is now only applicable for Medicaid provider enrollment, but not for initial private home care agency owners. So I'll try to show how this platform looks like. So this is the health care facility regulation division, and you should be creating an account here for you to get the license. Under your email address, you have to create the account and input all your information, enter your LLC details, enter your personal information, agent's information, and you have to make sure you create the account and navigate through all of the information. And end of the day, you have to upload all the supporting documents for you, including the policies and procedures and every other document that is required in the application package. All right. So this is the licensure forms and information package what I showed to you in terms of the checklist. But everything is online. It's no manual submission for private home care agency. So it's pretty straightforward, but you have to make sure everything you do correctly without omitting any information that they're expecting. All right. So so far, do you have any questions for me?
No questions.
No.
All right. Okay. So let's see. We have the step-by-step application process in terms of the prepare policy procedures. I think this is what I showed to you in terms of the administrative codes. You must comply state-specific administrative codes and regulations when you try to license your agency. That's mandatory. There is no excuse. It must meet all the regulations. Otherwise, if they come asking for revisions, deficiencies, that's going to delay months and months in your application journey. You have to wait for years to get yourself approved for your agency. Now let's look into the required documents and compliance. So policy procedure is mandatory, and also this should include the emergency procedures, client care procedures, grievance policy procedures, and every legal requirements, everything is listed on the Regulations Act. We have to complete for you. And basic required documents, as I explained to you, the application. Now this is, as I mentioned, it's moved more of the GAMIS was very recently, it was moved to HFRD, the platform that I showed to you. So you have to file in HFRD, not in GAMIS. So this is the platform that you should be filing your application directly with the state and the Department of Community Health. And the affidavits has to be completed, business license and the proof of entity registration. That means your LLC document and the EIN. So the background check, that's again, you should definitely get the background check from the state. Since you are a single member, you and the RN can represent the background check for you. So you again have to register with the background check authority and schedule an appointment for fingerprinting and get yourself the background check confirmation. They will give you a confirmation document that has to be uploaded to the system. Okay, so let's try to move forward with start gathering the required documentation. You need to provide with the qualification. Let's say what education that you have, the backgrounds that you have, that has to be submitted to the state, and also job description, orientation training, state required intro training that has to be submitted, but this is not required right at the beginning stage, but it will be requested at a point in time. But until then, we can initially submit without the proof of orientation training. RN license if you're providing nursing services, but it's required to be shown as a supervisory role. So it's recommended to submit the RN license. Even if you are not an RN, you can provide with some third-party RN license to get this approved for you. And statement confirming no prior misconduct, that is the background check. You should definitely get the background checks information. Okay, and RN license, signed statement confirming no past misconduct. And we also have to provide a document to the state, a personal confirmation to say that a statement you don't have any past misconduct which is affecting this license, or which is going to be a significant material case. So as long as everything is good, then you can definitely get the license. Right, so how to create the documents effectively. So when we talk about the legal documents, of course, we have to follow the legal steps, LLC, EIN, and any other documentation such as NPI, liability insurance, you have to request from third party insurance provider and get it under your business name. Make sure it's not for individual name anymore. You're not considered an individual, but you will be considered an agency or a legal business. Right. So all the documents we create or you create has to be exactly in line with the state requirements and the checklist, and those are mandatory information. Okay, now I came to the page. Most of the providers, they're concerned about how much is the license fee to submit your application. So the good news, I would refer this as a good news, because we have seen worst cases in terms of the application fees. In many other states, it's pretty expensive than what you see here. So for private home care agency, per service, per annual charges, companion sitting 250, personal care 250. If you're providing nursing services, it's 250. But we know for a fact that a few other states, they have very high expensive licensing fee. For example, California, they charge $5,600 just for the application fee that you submit to the state. So these prices are, I would say, kind of okay in terms of the other states for the same purpose. All right. Okay, let's move forward. And so it has to be submitted, as I mentioned, HFRD portal. It's referred as the Georgia HLES. GAHLES is the platform. All right. Okay. Do you have any questions, Laura?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's move forward. And finally, application review and the provision license you will be issued by the state. The application will be reviewed once everything is completed in the application process. All required documents are uploaded to the application, and then that's when they will issue you the provisional license. It's referred as the permit, and that must be meeting all the required information what they're expecting from you. So, right, and this is, and as I mentioned, after you get the permit for provisional license, it is valid for 1 year's time for you to, once you start serving for more than 1-2 clients, then you can request for inspection to get you the permanent license within the state. So, right, so these are the least 2 clients before conduct an inspection, on-site survey, and then you get the full license, which will be the regular license, officially allowing your agency to operate for long term, and you don't have any barriers anymore. So it's all matter of fact that you concern on growing your business, getting the other the related areas support like Medicaid and expanding into more of medical services, or maybe if you have any wishes on getting further expansion or investment, you can think of going to a personal care homes or a group home after you get this initial license from the state. All right, so let's talk about common revisions that could be requested by the state. So these are let's say once you submit the application, there's a chance that you can get approved right at the first time if all of the information is submitted accurate. So that's why we recommend to have a consultant with you so to make sure everything is streamlined. But if you are to go ahead with yourself, that's still fine as we are instructing you and giving you all the information what you need. Make sure you stick to the regulations and stick to the checklist that is required by the state, so everything is good to go. So there has to be no mistakes. Policy procedures should meet all the administrative codes and regulations, and insurance and everything should be proper in terms of, and it has to be the legal business name, not your individual name. And also there can be old rules. It has to be updated once because as I mentioned for Georgia private home care, very recently a change has occurred and you should know those changes to be up to date. And righty, and also let's say, yeah, you have to reorganize your documents to look cleaner and follow the state's format because states they are providing a format and templates for everything because that's the way they prefer to see your documents. So we have to stick to those information and the processes and how they are going to check your information should meet their expectations and because that's very easy for them to review and approve. If we prepare the organization, the documents, and organize them as per their own order and their checklist, and so everything is good to go. All right, so okay, so this is the I think most asked question from me when I get on a consultation call with any of my clients, not just Georgia, everyone. Very curious to know how much time it would take to get the application approved. Unfortunately, the state do not guarantee you a timeline and do not tell you how much time they need to approve your application. But with our experience, we can tell average timeline how much wait time you would be having to state. I need to be very honest with you. You can get the license in 1 to 2 weeks. No, at least 1 month. It's very rare that you would get because there's so much application coming to the state's way in terms of review and approve. And also, one more important thing, the person who sits behind your application plays a huge role in terms of, making it faster or delayed. So for everything, what matters is how good, how much we are in compliance when we try to submit the documentation. It must be perfect when we try to submit all the information to the state so that we have a high chance of getting approved, average of 3 to 6 month time when everything is good. After submission, a provisional license will be issued within 60 days. So it's basically around 2 months time. And once you serve 2 clients and pass an on-site survey, a regular license will be granted. That's probably after the first year. So yeah, so this is the timeline, but just what you need to know is that in case if you have any changes or if you have any errors in your application, then that can affect your entire application timeline for years. Could be, there's possibility. But the average timeline is 3 to 6 months, and that's a pretty good timeline compared to other states when we talk about the approvals. Okay, so yeah, so these are the mistakes that we discussed: signatures, dates, and of course you have to get the background and the fingerprinting checks. Business name should match on all documents. It should be consistent throughout. Policy procedure should align to meet with the private home care agency and the service types that we select. Organize documents in the correct order as per the checklist. That means the administrative codes, the state checklist, they have a basic order that they provide for you. So every document has to be listed and organized or written exactly as per their guidelines. That's the most important thing when we try to avoid delays and avoid any common mistakes. Okay, let's try to move forward to regulatory oversight and compliance monitoring. What happens after you have received your license? Your agency will be monitored by the HFRD because they will be monitoring everything for you. And they would do some unannounced visits and try to do inspections for you and make sure everything is good to go. And also, you have to keep an eye on the regulatory changes and the providing quality care is the most important thing. I'm sure since you're in this industry, you know how to provide the quality care to the clients. So that's why the state or the HFR is going to do some certain visits. Make sure you have the required documents and everything when you try to license and operate the business. Okay, so these are the few things and how you can continue to keep your agency compliance. Background checks, training logs, have the policy procedures printed and keep it at the office and train your staff regularly, document everything and make sure you identify all of the mistakes beforehand before any inspections comes to your visit your office. So you have to be very careful because your business is more of sending the caregivers out to residence places. So you have a higher chance on maintaining your documents and everything in your office because you are not overlooking the resident inside your building. So you have a few jobs to do. So make sure you are in 100% in compliance with the state regulations. Okay, so real life example, we would like to take you through how we help you to get the license and what kind of steps that we take in terms of licensing, right? So far, do you have any questions, Jimmy?
No.
Yeah. How about Tawana? Hi, thank you very much for joining. So do you have any questions? So far, I think we covered a little bit about the initials idea of what you will be needing to cover up in terms of licensing. So do you have any questions so far just to take you to the to up to speed?
No, not yet. No, not this time.
Okay, all right, okay. So let's try to move forward with the real life examples for you. So I'll try to show as much as possible in terms of how to get yourself. I'll try to put yourself into this practical scenario and tell you what you need to be exactly doing and how you need to do this. So the first thing that we will be doing for you is that you have to understand the latest state regulations that is required for private home care agents in the state of Georgia. Because every time there can be changes, regulations, so we have to stick to the latest. HFRD site is your number one place to check for everything, and the DCH, Department of Community Health. And also everything that is mentioned in their checklist and the application form should go through and understand what's required. So I'll try to show you some kind of example. Yes. Yeah, let me try to get this for you, the link. Yes. Try to open the link. Give me a minute. We have been helping so many clients. I'm actually trying to open up a folder, actually just to show you and get you an idea on what kind of documentation and how the documents looks like. so that you should be able to get a better understanding of what we discussed. So let's see. All right, okay, let's go to, let me share my screen again. All right, let me know when you can see my screen. So this is what I'm talking about. A checklist is the first thing that we create for you so that you know every item that is required to get the license, you would understand. So just to let you know, for a private home care agents in Georgia, you have to complete 39 documentation. So we try to get you everything listed on a streamlined document. For example, EIN, your logo, resume, policy procedure manual. So everything we'll list down, and we try to name everything, what care policy does for you and what you will be having to provide. So you would understand why certain things you have to give for us, because when there are legal related documents or information, those documents we need your support to get them for us. For example, your driver's license and notarized affidavit. So we give you everything filled. You just have to sign it yourself and then provide it to us in terms of the notary sign and the attorney sign, so that that document is complete. And also the business license, something that you will be having to get from your county office, and then visit them or give a phone call. And so that's one of the mandatory requirement as well. So for example, the rest of the information that you see, we create your training curriculums, administrative documentation, and no misconduct written statement, everything we do for you, including policy procedures, and also the applications, everything we are helping you in terms of getting you license. So you can see, I just wanted to show you some kind of a client that we got license. This is a very recent client. She got license, so we got information just to show you. And this is how a package would look like, but I can't go into inside details just to show you everything, but just I'm trying to let you glance through what are the documentation and how a package would look like, so that you understand what is included. RN, EIN document, driver's license, and this client had two owners, so both the owners should provide the driver's license and information, the logo, personal affidavits, policies and procedures. So just to let you know how we work with the clients. And these are the supporting documentation that we create for you, because these are mandatory requirements that you will be having to have when you submit to the state. I can share you how this looks like. Let me try to open this file for you. So this is all of the information and the documentation that is mandatory for you to submit. This is already written exactly as per the state requirements. So everything must be submitted with your agency name updated to the state when you try to license. Governing board documentations, we have to create these documents for you. And it has to be signed from your end and submit with your agency name and the logo. And the documents are fully ready. And it has to be written as per the regulations. That's mandatory, as I explained. So going back to the checklist, and this is the supporting folder that we take you through. So these are the information we help in terms of making sure you get the license, and no document can be missed, omitted, or with errors. Then there's a high chance the application would get rejected. So, righty, and creation of the documents is what I showed to you in terms of policy procedures. We will be writing exactly as per the state requirements for you and making sure all the documents are up to standards. Finally, at Care Policy and Home Care Consulting.us, we help you to do application submission as well. We support you with all supporting documents, full consultation. Your role will be only to provide us the legal information, such as your LLC, your EIN, your driver's license, your resume, and those are the basics that we would be needing from you. And rest of the documentations, we will be doing that for you, including the support documents, including the application process, and everything will be under your name because we don't do franchise here. We will be creating the HFRD account under your email address because you represent the owner, sole owner of the business. We are administrative support partners for you and consulting partners for you to get you everything streamlined and submitted to the state. And the great thing that I need to actually tell you is that we basically guarantee the success of your license as long as you don't have any felonies, convictions, or your backgrounds are pretty clear, and you are providing all accurate information without any missing pieces. So it's guaranteed license approval under a very, very short time because with our experience, we have been helping for our clients. Ongoing compliance is on the care policy support services. Let's say when we submit the application and the state comes back with any kind of revision for the support services or support documents we created for you, then it's our responsibility to fix that for you. You don't know how to fix the policy procedures that we wrote for you, so it will be our responsibility to do every correction for you, and it's our duty to support you with the deadlines because most of the providers, their struggle is that when the state comes back with a revision, the state always tell you, hey, Tavana, complete this revision in 7 days or your application will be withdrawn from the system or rejected. So within 7 days, you would get stressed and panic on how to do the changes and fixes. So experts or whoever did this for you should be available to do that for you. And that's why most of the people who wants to find a reliable service provider and a consultants team to help you out with everything and all your needs. So of course, receive the license is the most important thing. Until you get the license, we will be working with you, making sure you get the license from the state for the time, effort, the money that you have put and invested in. Okay, so I'd like to tell the project timeline, how much time to complete everything. So right at the beginning, what happens is that once you start and confirm to work with us, you will be having to confirm, okay, I need, hey Anton or any of our consulting team, you have to mention, I need to license my private home care agency for the state of Georgia. Based on that, we get your detailed checklist as I showed to you based on the latest regulation. So this is a kind of a sample checklist that I can show to you. So everything will be updated and customized checklist you will be getting for yourself to navigate and make sure everything is included and nothing is missed. So that's the main reason why we come up with this kind of a checklist. So once this is done, in first 2 business days, we will be getting you the checklist once you start to work with us. And from that first 2 to 3 business days, once that is ended, 21 days is what we need to complete your entire package. We complete your supporting documents pack. We help you to consult on how you can get the legal documents and where you need to navigate and the direction we provide. And it's 2 parties will be working towards the same goal. Care policy team and you and your team will be working towards getting you the license. And we have 21 days to complete everything for you. Why we have our own deadlines for ourselves, because nobody would tell a deadline. When you talk to anybody else, there will be no deadlines because we always try to put everybody into a time zone and a deadline basically to walk you through and complete everything. The main reason we get motivated ourselves, and the second most important reason, before a new change in the regulation comes into effect, we have to work on completing with the current existing regulations because of changes in regulatory requirements and a certain countries situations. We got certain alerts in terms of for many states, the regulations are about to change. In some states, we already experiencing change in regulations. But I would recommend for anyone who is trying with this idea in head, start as soon as possible and get your license soon as possible to avoid any kind of regulatory barriers for your journey. So 21 days time, the application will be submitted. And after that, in 3 to 6 months time is what you can get the license with the state. So that's the average and the fastest timeline that you can get the license from the state. And that's once we make everything streamlined and all documents are perfect. Right? So any questions so far?
I do actually do, and I might have missed this, so I apologize. So before you even apply for your license, there's things that has to be done, right?
Yeah.
I believe Georgia requires you to have a physical location. So do you all provide like what needs to be done before we provide the license as well?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually tried explaining right in the beginning of the journey
Yeah.
in terms of the
Okay.
location, but just to let you know a recap, actually for a private home care agency, you do need a physical dedicated place as long as you can use your home office address for the point of application. That's a kind of
Got it.
like we let a lot of, it's not mentioned in the regulation, but with our practical experience, we have tried to license with the home office address. What happens is that you will otherwise have to keep paying rentals for months and months, even without you operating your business. So that's a nightmare. So that's the main reason you can apply for your home office address in the point of application. And once you get approved, you still have around 1 year's time for them to come for an inspection after you get the initial provisional license. Within 1 year's time is when they get to your location for a physical inspection. At that time, when you move to an actual physical location, there are dedicated office space that is recommended, but not right at the beginning, because you can still apply with your home office license so that you're saving around 1 year's time rental fee.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so right. Let me try. Okay, so this is a sample permit. This is what we are talking about, a license from the state. So this is exact the same thing that you would be getting once you get the approval. And there will be expiry date and there will be effective date. And as I mentioned, this is valid for 1 year's time, right at the end of the first year. And once you start serving 2 patients, you can request for a survey from the state, but at that time, I recommend for you to have a dedicated physical office and have your policy procedures printed and everything 100% up to standards, and then let them come to your office, do their required inspection, readiness checklist, and then once you get that approved, you get the full license. So everything is good, but still with this license, what I'm showing you here, permit, you can still run for 1 year's time operations and start serving clients and make some money. Right. So, okay. And okay, so these are the packages that we have. If anyone is interested to get a full consultation, we have 2990, which there's offer going right now for all new providers who want to license the agency. We help you with all support documentation, application, and everything. Only things that we will be needing from you are few legal documents such as your LLC, your driver's license. So those are the few things that we would be needing. But everything will be listed and shown to you in our checklist. What you will be having to provide, and everything else what we do for you. So, and for those who want to, let's say this, the 990 package, that is a private home care agency, complete set of documents to upload to the system. That's going to cost you only 990. So you will be doing the application from your end. You will be going ahead with creating your accounts and getting all the documents prepared. And for all the supporting documents pack, you will be getting for you to download. So you can download and change of the address, agency name, and your logo, and then you can submit from your end. It's like do-it-yourself package is $990. But $2,990, we do everything for you. And for those who are just looking only for the policies and procedures, but just to let you know, this is just one document out of all the documentation. So you can get this for $199 in our website, carepolicy.us. So, and okay, let's go to the next steps. For those who get the license and want to start, you also provide with the branding and marketing services, your website services, everything. And also you have to think about getting referrals. And one more important thing as the next steps, you are getting the license for the private pay under private home care agency right at the beginning. You are not still exposed to the Medicaid. So you have to apply for a new license called Medicaid, provide enrollment on the GAMIS platform. That is where you are going to be attracted for government-funded clients, that is Medicaid. So once you get that, you will be exposed to a lot of client base and a lot of people coming your way to your agency as you're attracted for Medicaid. And also, I would recommend as the next steps for any new provider, start with the easiest point, that is the private home care agency first. Number two, license for the Medicaid enrollment provider with the GAMIS platform. And number three, try to expand your services into more of skilled nursing, medical related services. And that is you can do by registering and licensing for a home health agency. Number four, apply for Medicare with CMS. That's going to give you more exposure in terms of revenue. Medicare is number four. Number five, in terms of expansion, you can think of going ahead and opening a personal care home, more of a group home, and you can get a physical location and keep the residents inside your building and start expanding your business. So this is my recommendation for any new provider who are interested in going ahead with this journey. Yeah, so of course we have been helping so many providers. Everyone is satisfied because we don't just tell you what to do. We take care of most of your work, and we assign you account manager and a dedicated project team for everything. You'll be getting a response within 24 hours or instant replies with all communications, with all correspondence, and making sure we stick to all the compliances, because we have skilled RN consultants, document specialists, and a powerhouse of IT marketing. Everyone is working towards behind the scenes to make sure you get the license as soon as possible. Okay, so, okay, these are a few questions that we needed to address. Home office allows you shared office from the point of starting your application. No virtual addresses are allowed. We need to be clear on that. And provisional license, of course, you can operate during the provisional license for 1 year's period of time. And if your application is rejected, you have to work on their corrections and the deficiency reports. And it has to be, we have to make sure everything what they request meets the guidelines. When we try to submit the revision request, it definitely must meet all the deadlines, because these guys are very tough. It always comes with deadlines to make sure that we provide the correct documentations on time and making sure that we get everything approved from the what they're requesting. So that's why we tell from the first time itself, it's recommended to submit everything perfectly so that there is no chance for revisions and deficiencies, so that the application approvals are much faster. Okay, how much the Medicaid reimbursement rates? Actually, you can find it on the fee schedule available for Medicaid rates. That's pretty much available for you to understand how much rates, reimbursement rates that you can get. But let me see if I can find those information. I can email you as well. Registered address is required, and this is for if your agent's non-provides, RM must be employed to oversee those services. even if you don't provide skill services, RN is required to be shown in the application just to make sure it should be employed to oversee the services what you provide, even the non-medical home care services. Okay, here we are. So, any questions you have for me?
No, I think you answered mine about the location, but again, I think there's some other prerequisites, right, with you having their LLC or DBA or your business license. Do you have to have insurance before you apply?
Yeah, that's correct. So when we start, I think I'll try to show you the checklist for you if you have missed that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, this is everything you need to have at the point of submission. So I'll tell you
Got
33
it.
documents needs to be completed. These are the prerequisites: your EIN, your resume, your logo, policies
Mm-hmm.
and procedures, and everything. Your LLC, fingerprinting, background checks, everything should be as a package ready to submit to the state. So once all these documents are ready, we can submit the application. But that process is what we need 21 days. You will be
Mm-hmm.
working with the legal documents, and these documents don't take too long from these departments. You can take it in just 1 to 2 weeks time. And in the meantime, we'll be working on your support documents and customizing them for you. So in first 21 days, everything should be ready to submit to the state. And from that onwards, it will be state's end who will be reviewing and approving our application.
Okay.
Okay, so any other questions, Tawana?
No, I think that is it.
Yeah, so do let us know if you're interested to work with us, and if
Mm-hmm.
further guidance, any questions, feel free to reach out. We're always there to assist you. And this good news is that for every people who join this boot camp, we're offering them a special coupon of 10% off on all products that we have. Just take a copy of this coupon code bootcamp GA10. That's going to be giving you a 10% off on every product and consultation package or whatever you purchase from us. So we are ready to kickstart your journey. If you're interested, we can proceed.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Tawana, and thank you, Amna. Thank you very much for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.